I am Andrew Mullen, and along with my colleagues, Dr. Carolyn Mitten and Mrs. Heather Bergthold, we want to welcome you to the 20th celebration of teaching. A special welcome to parents. I think this is the most parents we've ever had. We have parents that came all the way from La Ciudad de Mexico and Bakersfield and Irvine and all over, from Utah. Right now, please stand up, and I know when people tell you to stand up in a public setting, people kind of stand up. But be like Christine Geyer's second graders yesterday, who just popped right up. Isn't that what they did? Can you model that, Christine? For second graders, we didn't have to. But parents, please stand up. Pop up. Thank you. That means a great deal to all of us. All K through 12 teachers, please stand up. Oh, and we have some alums. It's so fun to see alums that were here just a short time ago. Westmont faculty, administrators, and staff. Maybe there is a faculty member who didn't go to the beach after all. Faculty, administrators, staff, or emeritus faculty and staff. Please stand up. Current Westmont students, including those who will be in a teaching credential program next year. All Westmont students, please stand. Okay, I didn't know we'd do so much clapping, but we've got your applause tools working here. A few VIP welcomes. Doctors Gail and Ruth Tucker were the Education Department for 33 years at Westmont and put into place so many of the good things that we're still doing today. Gail and Ruth, would you stand up? We have today someone who usually hangs out in Washington with the highest echelon of the bigwigs in DC. That would be a nice word for them. But we have the National Bilingual Teacher of the Year, the National Bilingual Teacher of the Year, who goes and shakes Joe Biden's hand and Barack Obama's hand and tells them how to run the schools. Sonia Aguilar. Each of you is a VIP, and if I've left you out, I'm very sorry, but we'll congratulate you and welcome you further and give you some food later. I've never included this announcement in the 20 years, but bathrooms are, if you take a right and go upstairs, feel free. You don't need a bathroom pass. You don't need to ask the teacher's permission today. We plan this event, very obviously, for our student teachers. We also want to honor our cooperating teachers who work incredibly hard in the mentoring process. But this event, from the beginning, has been a way of honoring teaching in general. And for those of us who forget just how demanding teaching is, honor all those who get up in the morning on the days they don't want to show up and go do a billion things to make the world a better place. Sometimes adults forget just how important teachers are. Elementary children never do. I had a late-breaking idea on Tuesday, and I went out and, with the help of my research assistants, asked some students to imagine a world without teachers. The several hundred responses I had, I was only able to pick 20 some. But find your favorite. The world would end. We would be corrupt, even those of us in this room. Trust me. I gave a chocolate bar to this fifth grader yesterday. I just said this is the most original response. It would be as if if we all had cheese as brains, we would be stuck in a continuous state of being. This gives those of you who are teachers this is the same. And children respond in different ways. I mean, some of them vary. It's all about me or our school. We would bring treats and go into the teacher's lounge. And some of them think very cosmically. Oh, by the way, these are all pseudonyms, first letters. Teachers, if you don't recognize the name, these are all pseudonyms, but someone whose name is not Carissa, you can see what her priorities are. Friends, and then only after the friends. This Viola is going to be a CEO. She's thinking ahead already. I will have more teachers in the future, and I thank them ahead of time. Strategic. The world wouldn't be green because we wouldn't have life. I see people craning their necks. If there were no teachers, what will be the point of going to school? Kids will be able to do whatever they want, and kids will fight and do bad things. I love how this person expands the definition of teacher. Lawrence, as we'll call him, went way back to the dawn of human history, and we couldn't hunt, we couldn't fish, we couldn't. This is what your daughters and your friends and your former students have to do all day. Keep kids from breaking things and drawing on walls. If you start drawing on walls today, we have a lot of people who will stop you. I love this. In our world, everyone would have no dignity. I just, what's math? Come on, Dr. Minton, what's math? Human, everything, human dignity. Okay, well, thank you for humoring me on those, and apologies to all the many students we left out. I didn't bring, this is going to be a real disappointment to you, I didn't bring enough paper today for you to do this assignment yourselves. But I do want you to remind you in a very personal way to think about what your life would be like without at least one special teacher. So get out your cell phones, pen, get out your bookmark. Get out your bookmark. Did you receive a bookmark with this? Do we have any extra bookmarks, ushers? This is Mannion. I bet you've called on non-volunteers before. Would you read this bookmark aloud in your best teacher voice?
Of course. Thanking a K-12 teacher. I need to make time this weekend before I forget or lose this bookmark to thank blank for his or her impact on me. Specifically, I want to thank him or her for influencing me in the form of blank and blank. I should write this task, this privilege, into my Google Calendar for Saturday right now, I suppose, for 2 p.m. or maybe blank. In order to locate contact information, I think I'll start to track him or her down with circle one or more, maybe search on Facebook, and then search on Google, old friend or family member who might have contact info, church neighborhood or civic organization contact, other. Tanya Martinez, 2019, who has many CUSD teachers to thank and students at Providence will, with hope, someday thank her.
Thank you. That's Tanya Martinez, who's pictured her kindergarten teacher years exactly. And then Tanya Martinez went back and students taught under Mrs. Wilson. And now someday there's somebody who's going to get out their phone like you're doing right now. And pencils, I don't see pencils going. 2 o'clock tomorrow. Microphone. You're always telling me, Heather, to lower my volume. Usually people can hear me too much. Okay, you know what? You have been very patient, so we're just going to truncate the speech a little bit and get on with what you came here for. But do fill out that bookmark. Oh, the videographer is worried. The real program is coming now. Okay, multiple subject is one of those educational jargon words. It's a California word for people who are preparing to work in an elementary classroom where they will be an expert in multiple subjects. And we have 3 new teachers who will help us unpack the role of a teacher. Becky Huff will start us off with the 5 P's of teaching, followed by Kelly Vivanco, the entertaining role of a teacher. And Taylor Scott will finish out this section with teaching is like coaching, which Jenny will pay special attention to that. Becky, please start us off.
There we go. At the start of the new year, I was sitting at church with my family, and the pastor challenged us to ask God what fruit of the Spirit he wanted to grow in us this year. I heard him say, peace, and I thought to myself, yeah, that makes sense. I tend to stress out and worry a lot, and I'd been working a lot on surrendering my anxiety to God, so I was excited about that one. Then I heard him say patience, and I got a little confused. I used to think that I was a very patient person. Maybe not with adults, but definitely with children. And so I was like, really, God, patience? Really? And he laughed and said, oh, I will show you patience. And boy, did he. This semester, I had some very strong-willed students. Some of them really enjoyed pushing the boundaries every chance they got. Little did they know that I come from a long line of stubborn people, and I was not going to budge. But the more I approached these students with that stubborn mindset, the more frustrated I became. What these kids really needed, and what I really needed, was to be stubborn with my love. And love is patient. Love is not easily angered, and love keeps no record of wrongs. So I prayed every day, Lord, give me your patience and your love to pour out on these children, because if I use my own patience, this is not going to end well. He gave me many opportunities to be patient. My students had a habit of asking me quite often, Miss Huff, how many more minutes until snack? How many more minutes until recess? And I would tell them, just focus on your work and trust that I will get you there on time. One day, I found myself getting extra frustrated with their constant asking, until God reminded me that I am the exact same way with him. Lord, what am I going to do about a job? God, where am I going to live next year? Hey, God, am I going to pass this test? And he reminded me to just focus on the work I'm doing and trust that he will get me there on time. When I saw my students make the same poor choices over and over again after promising to stop, I was convicted of my own rebellion against God. This semester, I had the opportunity to sub for almost 2 weeks. After my first day of subbing, I went home crying and feeling like a failure because I wasn't able to manage a student's behavior. I felt like I shouldn't even be a teacher after that. God reminded me very quickly that he had a plan for me. He told me, I have given you authority in that classroom, so you better get back in there and just trust me on this one. He showed me that my 2 most powerful weapons against the enemy are prayer and praise. So I went to war for my students. Every chance I got, I prayed over my students' desks. I prayed over the doorframe of the classroom. I sang worship songs in the classroom while the students were at lunch. After a hard day, I praised God for everything that went well during the day to shut up the laughter of the enemy and shut down all of his schemes. I prayed with tears of frustration flowing down my cheeks and said, God, do not let my heart be hardened against these children. Let me see them the way that you do. And he listened to my prayers. He increased the love that I had in my heart for those children every single day I was in the classroom. And I'm going to really miss them. He opened my eyes and my heart broke seeing how much they needed to know the truth about how loved they are. The more I leaned into his presence, the more peace I felt and the more I could hear his voice, which was a good thing for me. When planning my ELA unit on Charlotte's Web, I was struggling to figure out how to present the book in a creative way to help the students remember all of the events in the book. I was praying, asking God to help me when I heard, previously on Charlotte's Web. So as part of my unit, I created videos to recap the events of the book using stuffed animals, real animals, and family members. God taught me to remember to play with the kids, to make it fun for them and for me. I brought a stuffed bear named Josie to school with me every day to help me manage behavior and to comfort my students. We even elected Josie president of the classroom during a lesson on the voting process. I pulled an April Fool's prank on the first day of my takeover and told the students that I had gotten engaged over spring break. I timed the kids to see how long we could go without any interruptions to the lessons so that it became a game. If I saw a student misbehaving, I would give him a playful raise of the eyebrow, and one of my students would always hit me back with a and it would crack me up every single time. Student teaching has been a lot, but I am incredibly grateful for the family, friends, and teachers God has blessed me with to support me through it all. Now, as I leave Westmont and head off to my teaching career, I will remember the 5 P's of teaching that God has taught me. Patience to love like Christ and extend forgiveness every day. Peace in knowing that God is in control and on my side. Praising God for all he has done while praying he continues to move. And remembering to play, embracing your own inner child. May the peace of Christ be with you all. Thank you.
Becoming a teacher and understanding a teacher's role is a different process for everyone. I want to give you a glimpse into my journey. Kelly, fall semester. Whew. When I was young, I didn't used to dream about being a developmental psychologist, interior designer, motivational speaker, aka a teacher. I wanted to be a poet, a novelist, an actress. I loved to sing. I was a quiet watcher, an introvert to the core. Now, what am I doing here in chaos? Praise God, I could not have asked for a more dedicated or inspiring CT, thank you, Ms. Herrera, or a sweeter TK classroom. But I also have culture shock from a summer of travel. And now I'm learning classroom management, facing language barriers, learning about state standards, the TPA. Is this what I signed up for with a passion for education? And what does it mean to be a professional? To be perfect and always getting better? To always work and never rest or sing or write? This is power and pressure and performance without applause at the end. Stop. Just let me be an introverted writer, please. Who am I in the classroom? I barely know myself. When I leave, I find all my words have dried up, as if all my poetry has become flesh. My students. Kelly, spring semester. I am learning to become a constant actress, to make my voice interesting, to say just the lines I need without stumbling over them so much. I'm starting to like this. I get to play the best version of myself, my calm, in control, firm, humorous self, kind. Well, at least I like to think I'm funny sometimes. I wondered if in the classroom I would lose myself, but now instead of one kid writing poems with chaotic rhyming, suddenly I have 17 students excitedly rhyming their acrostics. What result could be happier? Students are growing in their writing, learning to type, practicing revision, and I'm their writing coach. We've sung together, studied water droplets together, written our opinions. The students' growth is thrilling, the wonder of discovery palpable. Maybe in teaching I could make it. I just have to master a million skills. I've discovered being a teacher is like hosting. 1, you have to plan ahead. Be proactively empathetic to your guests' needs. Not only do you have to remember to tell them where the bathroom is and where they can put their things, you also have to think about the 4 vastly different temperatures the oven has to be at for each recipe. Differentiation. You have to plan each course so that no one will be hungry and people will be coming in and out at random times, and sometimes they won't show up, and plan. 2, ask for help. Never host alone. Ask mentor teachers for advice. Team up with other teachers to share resources. Don't disconnect yourself from the people you love best who maybe aren't in the teaching world and don't know what you're living day after day. Host with helping hands. 3, relax. If you're prepared, you're supported, get on stage. Say your lines. Tweak your performance. Step by step, you can become a master entertainer, warmly welcoming guests and giving them a performance you've rehearsed for years. Don't worry about being perfect. Practice makes professional. Then, at certain points, sit back and watch all that your students have learned to do. What a pleasure and a prize. Mrs. Wheatley, you're an amazing hostess every single day to students, and you've been an amazing hostess, mentor, and model for me, so thank you.
When I was a coach, I couldn't imagine being a teacher. I considered them to be worlds apart. But now, having been both a coach and a teacher, I see that these 2 worlds could not be more similar. Over the course of this last year, I have come to realize that teaching is more than just imparting knowledge. It's about guiding, motivating, and inspiring students to reach their full potential. In many ways, teaching is like coaching. Just as a coach encourages athletes to excel in their sports, educators cultivate minds to thrive in life's arena. First, both teaching and coaches require a deep understanding of an individual's strengths, weaknesses, and learning styles. Just as a coach tailors training sessions and game plans to optimize performance, a teacher customizes lesson plans, seating charts, and worksheets to cater to diverse student needs. Both teachers and coaches differentiate their instruction, ensuring that every individual can succeed. Secondly, both roles involve instilling discipline, resilience, and perseverance. Just as a coach pushes athletes to overcome obstacles and setbacks, teachers encourage students to tackle challenges head-on. This teaches the students valuable life skills that go far beyond the classroom. A coach pushes their players hard because they believe they are capable of greatness. I once had a coach tell me, and it's not the one sitting right here, "The reason I yell at you is because I believe in you, and I know that you are capable, what you are capable of. The day that I stop yelling is the day that I stop caring." Now, I wouldn't suggest yelling in a classroom at students, but I do believe that some of the same concepts still apply. The day that I stop challenging, pushing, redirecting, even when it's the 3rd time I've asked the student to spit out their gum, I need to keep having high expectations for my student. And the day that I don't do this is the day I have not supported my student. Lastly, both roles share the ultimate goal of empowering individuals to reach their goals and fulfill their potential. Whether it's winning a championship or mastering a hard math concept, the joy of witnessing growth and achievement is unparalleled in both teaching and coaching. In essence, teaching is coaching the mind, guiding students through challenges, celebrating victories, and preparing them for success in the game of life. So with that being said, I would like to thank a few teachers and coaches in my life who tirelessly dedicate themselves to shaping the futures of young people. First, my soccer coaches. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be at Westmont another year. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to be in this program. And thank you for teaching me some of my most valuable lessons without me even noticing it. Dr. Mullen, Dr. Mitten, Mrs. Denny, thank you so much for being flexible with my soccer schedule this past fall. I know that was a lot, but thank you for taking a chance on me, and I appreciate the constructive feedback that was always paired with really positive encouragement. I don't think any of us would be here if it wasn't for Heather, so thank you, Heather. Thank you for taking the time in this, helping me realize what summer classes I needed to take. Thank you for doing the paperwork that none of us would be able to complete correctly. Thank you for taking us on a trip of a lifetime to Yosemite. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To Miss Vega, who wasn't actually my CT, but who helped me so much, encouraged me, and supported me, thank you. And to Mrs. Mannion, wow, I could have never imagined how much I could learn in just one semester. You have taught me how to be a compassionate professional, always treating students and colleagues with patience, understanding, and respect. You have shown me how to be adaptable, learning a brand new curriculum and making it your own, and being a team player through it all. You have given me the confidence to believe in myself and that I can somehow manage a classroom full of fifth graders. Despite being unbelievably busy with your own life and family, you always were able to check it at the door and show up for me and the students. You have truly shown me the kind of teacher, professional, and even a mom I would like to be someday. Thank you.
Cooperating teachers, those who've been pictured and those who will be pictured later, please come up and be thanked and hugged. Quick seventh inning stretch, and very quickly, as you're standing, say something that Kelly or Becky or Taylor said that you're going to remember and go up to them after and thank them for. Quick, up. Let's go on to Melissa. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, as my student teachers all say. Thank you, thank you. We now... Thank you so much. We now have 2 reflections on staying on course through the ups and, yes, there are downs. We have Alyssa Hernandez in Slime or Shine, and Allison Hawkins on The Climb.
There we go. At least I brought my tall heels today. Okay, so I have only made slime a handful of times, and this was a spur of the moment decision. See, it was my last day of my 2-week takeover, and they had earned their fun Friday, but it was only for the last hour of class. I don't think I could handle the full day. One student remembered they had already made slime before with Mrs. Ojeda and was certain there were still materials lying around, which, of course, she went to go look for and found. Okay, great, we're making slime. To avoid any unnecessary chaos, I made sure they all stayed in their seats, waiting patiently as 2 students helped me distribute the materials. One of my helpers ran to me saying, "Miss Hernandez, we need warm water." I paused, and I wondered, how was I supposed to keep an eye on all of them and go get them warm water? As I'm sure this thought has run through most teachers' heads when they're being asked to do more than 2 things at once. This was already not going as planned. Regardless, we figured it out and they began making their slime. With each time they stirred, I saw it going from a mix of ingredients to a single blob. It became too hard to stir, which I assumed meant it was ready. So I held my breath and I watched my student grab it from his plate. Chunks of slime were not sticking to his hands. So far, so good, I thought. But as soon as he began pulling it, the only thing you really do with slime, it ripped into 2 pieces. It was such a fast, hard tear, like splitting styrofoam. There were a number of reasons that ran through my head about what could have gone wrong. As others were experiencing the same thing, there was an uproar of the chaos I was trying to avoid. Just as slime can be difficult to navigate, so too are the challenges within a classroom, whether they be behavioral, academic, or emotional. There can be an overwhelming chaos and uncertainty that comes with questions that arise in the classroom, the modifications you know need to be made to your teaching, and the unexpected behaviors that may not even stem from something you have done. In light of this, rather than shying away from students' curiosity and questions, it is the role of a teacher to face them head-on alongside their students. I rolled up my sleeves and began squishing this ball of goo together. Maybe they didn't apply enough pressure to soften it. No, they definitely did. It was just rock. It was just hard rock. In the classroom, lessons similar to slime making can cause you to experience confusion, frustration, or surrender when they don't go as planned. But as you reflect on the lessons later, as I have, you see the shine that was not evident earlier. Your students are exploring, asking questions, and learning. During this slime lesson, they were inferring. Maybe it's because the water wasn't warm enough. Or maybe you added too much borax, Ms. Hernandez. The shine overpowers the slime. Just because a lesson didn't go according to plan doesn't mean it wasn't a success. Because the shine is also embodied in the fact that we have fun in the classroom, the moments where a student complements your teaching or engages with the lesson, and when improvised lessons go smoothly. Both slime and shine are part of being a teacher, but nevertheless make every moment worth it. I would like to say thank you to Maestra Aguila, which was my CT in the fall, for throwing me into the waters of 2nd grade in a dual language classroom. And I'd also like to say thank you to Mrs. Ojeda for trusting me and sharing your classroom with me and just mentoring me this semester. 5th grade was a rough start. I have learned so much from both of you through your patience and passions for teaching. Thank you.
Picture yourself getting ready to climb a mountain. Do you feel that soft breeze flowing through your hair, the fresh air? Can you smell that? I can smell it. Maybe you're on a mission to conquer Mount Everest or go on a little hike in Yosemite. Embarking on a journey as specific as mountain climbing requires lots of preparation, planning, and setting goals. You may be thinking, Allison, what does climbing a mountain have anything to do with student teaching? Well, let me tell you. Student teaching also requires lots of preparation, planning, setting goals, and so much more. In all honesty, I was not prepared for the rigorous mountain climb that I call student teaching. While student teaching and mountain climbing are separate experiences, they share commonalities in terms of obstacles, progress, and the feeling of success at the peak or end of the journey. Standing here at the top of my mountain didn't seem possible at the start of my journey. Every day, I'm reminded of the rigorous mountain climb I endured throughout the year. Each step of my climb has shaped me into the educator I have and will continue to be. Like ascending a mountain, my path had many obstacles marked by challenges and uncertainty. Yet, I could conquer these obstacles one step at a time with perseverance, dedication, and faith. My mountain climb reminds me of Psalm 37, "The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand." Whether it was navigating lesson plans, student engagement, and bringing joy into the classroom, I had my fair share of stumbles. I kept reminding myself that I needed to put my journey in the hands of God, and he will ground me. Thankfully, God lent me a hand and helped me navigate the rocky terrain. I put in the time and effort to better myself in the classroom and to give the students my all. It took a while, but thankfully I got there. During my ascent, I learned so many things from my recuperating teacher and the students. I even felt like the student and my students were the teachers sometimes. The students taught me to be patient, have fun while being serious, and to find joy in the little things. They truly opened my eyes to the concept of being a lifelong learner. I faced the unpredictable terrain of the classroom, navigating through the peaks and valleys of classroom management and student behavior. Through it all, I was reminded to keep trekking along with my commitment to nurture the minds and hearts of my students. The students taught me how to become a better teacher by listening to their wants and needs during my lessons. One lesson I will never forget is when I taught the students all about germs. You can think about where this is going. I brought in a book called Sick Simon, and it was about a boy who went to school sick and didn't wash his hands or cover his mouth, which obviously it's perfect because I work with first and second graders who don't cover their mouths. Simon spread the germs all around and got everybody sick. The kids were so grossed out by the thought of germs. Like, we all have it, but apparently there's this brand new concept that they learned. For my visual, I brought in some glitter and asked for a volunteer. I poured a little bit of glitter on their hand, and they rubbed it in. Another student came up, and then they shook hands with the one with germs. The students saw how easily the germs transferred from one person to another. They erupted into, "Ews, you have germs, no, you have germs," just rolling around on the ground. We did the little experiment a few more times, and then I had every student wash their hands. It was a very engaging lesson for me and the students. Seeing the smiles on the students' faces and hearing their laughter is something I'll never forget. Now that I am on top of the student teaching mountain, let me tell you that the view is beautiful. This view inspired me to continue scaling new heights in my teaching journey. Thank you to all who have lent their hand to support me during my mountain climb. Thank you to my friends, the Education Department, my CT, Mrs. Munisich, and of course my family. You have all played an important role in my journey, and I'm forever grateful. Thank you.
Mrs. Munisich, Ms. Ojeda, please come forward. Finishing up our multiple subject teachers, staying focused on the teacher-student relationship. And a good mode will reflect with us on For the Students' Children. Maddie Jansen, 20 questions, and April Poole. And finally, Natalie Street, because I love you, I will not let you fail. Hannah.
Hello. During a recent meeting with my CT, Ms. Jimenez, I heard Ms. Jimenez emphasize one thing in particular. Ultimately, everything we do is for the students. While I believe this is the end goal for any teacher, I have seen that goal reached in many different ways during my student teaching, both in the spring with Ms. Jimenez and in the fall with my placement at Catalina with Ms. Lori Lee Collins. In the fall, I saw Lori Lee provide emotional comfort to her students, reminding them every day of the 5 L's of learning. the last of which was the most heartfelt. Lori Lee loves you. Lori Lee was firm but kind, and working with higher thinking 4th and 5th graders, took time to explain why certain rules were in place for student safety and growth. Lori Lee was also unafraid to communicate how she felt when the rules were violated and brainstorm with students how they could do better to help themselves and others learn and feel cared for. Being that Catalina was connected to Carpinteria Family School, it really did feel as though students were connected with their own families and in many ways were family to each other. Through Lori Lee's example, I learned more about what it looks like to teach with not only one's mind, but one's heart. I also developed an understanding of my own goals in teaching, to reach my students on a personal level, knowing their academic and emotional interests and needs, so that I can best accommodate and make them feel welcome for the few but meaningful hours that they spend in the classroom each day. In my spring placement, working with kindergarten, Ms. Jimenez demonstrated that it was more important with younger children to set boundaries and expectations first and foremost for the safety of the students, and in order to help them understand the ropes of academics, being that for many of them this was their first time in a school setting. Ms. Jimenez made classroom a model of order, from making sure spaces were clean and organized to keeping a nice, orderly line when traveling to and from the cafeteria and other settings, to teaching me a variety of classroom management strategies, such as specific praise, quiet call out of distracted students, using water breaks or body breaks to get students moving after longer class periods, restating expectations to the class when they're growing a little too distracted, and using lots of visuals and hand gestures to connect students' kinesthetic movement to their learning and improve their memory. These strategies made a gradual but noticeable difference in the way I taught subjects such as wit and wisdom and phonics. Whereas in the early stages of my student teaching, I had simply delivered a lesson according to the curriculum without any modifications and wondered why students were continually distracted or not learning as much as they should, I soon realized that a good lesson requires not only the curriculum, but also scaffolding, explanation, accommodation, imagery, and more in order to keep students engaged and to make a real impact on their learning. Though it was challenging to put that much more effort into my instruction, my CT reminded me that it was all for the good of the students. Despite the differences in my CT's teaching styles, I was and still am reminded every day of the common purpose that all teachers have: to teach each child, not just academically, but socially and emotionally as well, to help kids learn, as well as know how to learn, and to have a lasting positive impact on students so that they, in turn, can create a lasting positive impact on the world. Already I can see it in the way that students help each other grow and offer different perspectives which challenge and inspire both other students as well as their teachers to begin to think differently and innovatively about what is taught, how, and why. I'd like to thank both my CTs, but especially Ms. Jimenez, for providing a space for such growth to happen. Thank you.
Let me tell you about 19 really special people in my life. They are silly, they are bright, they are unique, they are full of energy. They are the second graders of Room 9 at Vieja Valley Elementary School. When I started student teaching at Vieja Valley in January, I knew a little bit about these 19 special people, but I had no idea the extent to which I would get to know them by the end of April. Yet here we are. And I had no idea the extent to which they would get to know me. What I have learned this semester, among many other things, is that teaching is a relational profession. Whether I realized it or not, I started forming relationships with all 19 of my very special people from the very first day in their classroom. I started to learn about their stories, their families, their interests and activities in and out of school, their favorite Go Noodles, and their extremely polarized views of Taylor Swift. As the semester has progressed, I've been blessed with the opportunity to get to know them on an even deeper and more individualized level, and that, I believe, has made all the difference in my ability to teach them effectively. It would be unreasonable to expect a second grader, or anyone for that matter, to learn from someone who isn't invested in them. To echo a question that my pastor recently posed during a sermon, would you want to listen to someone who doesn't love you? I don't think I would. Truthfully, there are times when our students might not want to listen to us, even if they do know that we love them. But I believe that the love, investment, and care we show our students each day will lay the foundation for every bit of learning that they will do in our classrooms. What a blessing, privilege, and huge responsibility that is. As teachers, we are doing the work of relationship building every moment of the school day. When our very special people enter the classroom each day, we have an opportunity to step into their worlds. That has looked different for me every day. Some days it has looked like standing at the door with my arm raised so students can start their school day by giving me their highest jumping high five. On other days, it has looked like sitting and listening as a student tells of a beloved pet that they have lost. The day we came back from spring break, it looked like sitting on the carpet for a, confession time, far too long morning meeting, so each student would have a chance to share what they were up to during the week away from school. Just the other day, it looked like administering a comprehension assessment, telling a student who is facing some academic obstacles, I think you're going to really like this passage because the boy in it is a lot like you. And watching him light up as I proceeded to read about a boy who likes to look for bugs at recess. And today, it looked like just laughing when I walked into the classroom just like this, and they said, "Mrs. Jansen, are you going to the prom?" Yes, I am going to the prom. Relationship building can be subtle, and it can also be so powerful. As I close, I want to highlight 2 of my 19 very special people. These 2 are very different students, but they both made me realize the depth of the relationships I have been blessed to build with them this semester. The first is a student who has a hard time focusing in class and needs a lot of additional support and motivation in the classroom. I realized that I had a deep connection with this student one afternoon while we were waiting in front of the school for her dad to pick her up. She wanted to play 20 questions with me. Really, it was her own spin on 20 questions where she was thinking of an animal and then giving me as many hints as possible until I could guess what the animal was. It's more like 20 hints or 30 hints maybe. And the conversation went something like this. It has a big beak. It's bright and colorful. I got this. A toucan. No, not a toucan. A parrot. No, not a parrot. It's about this big. It has wings. It can be a lot of different colors. Flamingo? No, I said it was like this big. At this point, I'm like, is she thinking of a real animal right now? If you know what the animal is, you're 10 steps ahead of my Tuesday afternoon brain, just so you know. Finally, she gives me the hint that gives it all away. It drinks nectar from flowers. A hummingbird. Yes, it would have taken you all weekend if I hadn't given you that hint. It would have taken you until Christmas. You would have been old and dying, and you would have said, "Oh, I still don't know the animal." That was a relationship building moment. I subbed in my classroom on April 1st, and I really did not know what to expect. Do kids still do April Fool's Day? Should I be worried? Well, not many April Fool's attempts were made that day, but that was the day I realized I had a deep relationship with a very quiet and shy student whose voice I had heard very little of up until that point in the semester. We were doing small reading groups, and when I asked this student to read a paragraph aloud to her peers, something she does willingly and well every day, she looked at me with the most somber expression and said, "Mrs. Jansen, I have to tell you something. I'm moving." "What? Are you just moving to another house, or are you moving away?" "April Fools, I got you." Later that day, I passed out papers for an art activity and started circulating the classroom. Within 30 seconds, I passed by this student's desk, and she looked up at me and said, "Mrs. Jansen, I'm done." I looked at her paper, totally blank. April Fools, I got you. The relationships we build are deep and sometimes unintentional, and one of my very favorite things about being a teacher. Thank you to two more very, very special people, my cooperating teachers, Christine Geyer and Kate Barker, for showing me the joy of relationship building among so many other things this semester. You two are amazing at what you do, and I have been blessed tremendously to learn from you. Thank you.
In reflecting in my journey this past semester, I've been struck by the profound impact of love and support in the school that I've been in. My experience in Nicole Crowell's first grade classroom at Vieja Valley was more than just a teaching assignment.
Yeah.
My experience in Nicole Crowell's first grade classroom at Vieja Valley was more than just a teaching assignment. It was a testament to the power of community. As I navigated a whirlwind of the school year that began with a heart surgery just weeks before, I entered the credential program with determination, but also a considerable amount of doubts whether or not I'd be able to handle the rigorous academics. Yet, it was the unwavering support of my cohort, my cooperating teachers, and my professors that carried me through. Their love and encouragement not only helped me thrive, but deepened my understanding of the importance of fostering a nurturing environment for students. During the semester, a particular moment stands out, one that encapsulates the guiding principle of love and support in the classroom. It was at the beginning of the semester. It was my first or second day. I was still just observing, and we had just come back from a 3-week-long winter break. There was one student in particular who was very frustrated that he had to do a subtraction problem. And when we were faced with this student not willing to work, my cooperating teacher's response resonated deeply. "Because I love you, I will not let you fail. That is why I'm making you do this." This simple yet profound statement set the tone for the entire semester, highlighting the essence of our commitment to our students' success. Throughout our journey together, the saying, "Because I love you, I will not let you fail," evolved into more than just a response to reluctance. It became a guiding philosophy. It underscored our duty as educators to challenge and empower our students, to instill in them a sense of responsibility, resilience, and self-worth. By framing our expectations and interventions with love and care, we created a classroom environment where students felt valued, respected, and capable of greatness. It fostered a sense of belonging and connection, reassuring students that they are not alone in their struggles and that they can do it, even if they don't think they can. Our commitment to their success went above and beyond academic achievement. It aimed to nurture their confidence, resilience, and determination. Looking ahead to my future as a teacher, I have decided I want to be committed to integrating this powerful philosophy into my classroom. I will strive to create an environment where love, empathy, and support are at the forefront of my students. Building strong relationships with my students, understanding their unique needs, and fostering personal growth will be my priorities. With a genuine love and passion for teaching, I'm confident that with this approach, I can make a lasting and meaningful impact on my future students, just as my cohorts, my CTs, my professors, and the faculty members in the education department have supported mine. Thank you.
Christine, Kate, Nicole, Evelyn, please.
All right, well, one more round of applause, I think, because all the elementary have gone, and I think they did a fabulous job, so thank you. had the pleasure of being the lead supervisor for the single subject this year. And if you don't speak CTC language, that means usually secondary, but it's technically K through 12. And that was definitely the case this semester because we had 3 music, which is very unusual. So yay, music, right? And I don't think I saw any music professors from Westmont in the room, did I?
Orchestra's practicing.
Oh, that's the thing. Okay. Well, I was going to have them stand because they are incredible. And these 3 are actually Westmont Music Ed grads. So above and beyond, we are so proud of them and the work that they're doing and the work they're going to do. So no surprise from your program that they all picked music themes for their presentations today. So first we're going to hear Carissa, Hiding the Vegetables, Music is for Everyone. Heather, Keeping with the Tempo, and Elizabeth, the Dynamics of Student Teaching. All right, come on up, Carissa.
As an elementary school music teacher, I have the joy of getting to teach every single student in the entire school. One of my favorite parts of my day is walking down the hallway each morning to the music room and saying hello to all of the students who walk past me. Each and every one of them comes to music class at least once a week. And there are a few who I am fortunate enough to see multiple times a week in Bravo After School Band, in theater club, or who help in classes with the younger students. Every student gets to have music in elementary school, and I think that's amazing. Music is fun and exciting and beautiful for its own sake. And of course, we all know about the studies that have been done that show how music helps students excel in other areas too. But that's another speech entirely. Yes, every student gets to come to music class at least once a week. But also every student has to come to music at least once a week. Music is like a vegetable. It has a lot of nutritional value. It helps us grow. It's good for us. And some students love it. But even though some students love vegetables, not all students think it tastes good. I have some students who eat vegetables for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Some students who generally like vegetables. Some students who eat vegetables because it happens to be on their plate. And some students who have announced to me that they do not like vegetables at all. One of my goals during my student teaching was to create lessons that turn vegetables into smoothies and bring joy from music to all of my students. So I worked hard to incorporate material that would be relevant and interesting to my students, while still providing them with the nutrients to build musical literacy. I turned reading and clapping rhythms into a game of rhythm bingo, where students listened to a rhythm that I clapped and matched it to one on their bingo card. And to check whether their bingo was valid, they had to clap the rhythms on their bingo card back to me. We used the C and G chord to play Baby Shark on the ukulele. And yes, I did have a very long internal debate about that one before I did it. And my students especially loved it when I brought my little friend Chickadee along with lessons where we sang the song, Bluebird, bluebird, through my window. Many wonderful people have helped me to eat my vegetables along the way too. My heart is filled with gratitude for all of the teachers that I worked with. Karen Dutton, Brett Larson, Sarah DeSalvo, and Armin Schauer. And of course, I'm so blessed with all the support I received from my parents, family, and friends. A special thank you to my mom for finding Chickadee for me. Finally, I'm grateful to the Westmont faculty to help me to develop as a teacher and a musician during my undergraduate years and during the credential program. Activities like Songs with Chickadee brought joy to my students this semester, and to me as well. And they learned different concepts and built their musical literacy skills. And these types of lessons brought so much joy to my classroom. Sure, it's fun to play a game to learn new concepts, and yes, sometimes building activities that are both fun and content-rich takes a lot of prep and planning. But seeing the joy in my students' faces as they play rhythm games, or hearing their squeals of delight when they heard that they get to play instruments in class today, helped me to know that they too are as excited for music as I am. Thank you.
as a non-traditional undergrad and also as a non-traditional student. Oh, there's two found dogs in our neighborhood. Thank you, Ring. As a non-traditional undergrad and also as a non-traditional student/student teacher in the credentialing program here at Westmont, I was setting myself up for all kinds of confused faces from the gate. Are you her mother? Referring to me being around student friends and one of my CTs. But I have to say that I've never felt like I'm on the wrong path with all the support I've received from my family. Hi, Mom. Hi, honey. Friends, Westmont's great people. The schools I've been a student teacher at, my CTs, and God. I felt confused a lot myself along this journey, but he always seems to set me right. I used to joke that I was the kind of person God wouldn't have to just point me in the right direction. He would have to illuminate my path. For a public school music student in the 70s and 80s, things were vastly different than they are today. For starters, there is the World Wide Web now. The interwebs, I think it's called. The resources Gen Xers had as students were minimal. We also didn't have a generational moniker. As a violin student, we had some Red Book, the Mueller-Rouge series, and the Suzuki method, and that was it. Here are the strings, there are the notes. We put tape on your violin for fingerings. Practice and come back and we'll play it all together. And don't forget your scales. Now, today, those method books can still be utilized as a resource, but there are different method books being used in classes, and there are so many other resources that keep students engaged and active in their own learning. With the use of the internet, students have endless opportunities for music education and activities, and even to explore different areas of music making. In my first semester at Westmont, I was a transfer student, so I had to cram a lot in a short amount of time. I spent all of my schooling online, as that was our only option during the early days of the pandemic. Not only did Dr. Mitten have to figure out a new way to teach us our explorations in teaching class online, but our field work was done online as well. As I observed classes at Santa Barbara High, though I liked the convenience of not having to drive an hour back and forth every day, I noticed that this situation posed quite a few challenges. Not only were cameras and sound to be on and done right, but music teachers the world over had to figure out how to engage students who are accustomed to learning and rehearsing music in person, online. How to do. Watching Mr. Aguilera have students create lo-fi music, watching musicals, or inviting guest performers to do a masterclass on Zoom, it was indeed watching an entirely new curriculum unfold. Young students utilize technology so quickly, easily, and without much thought. It's still so amazing to me. I try to keep up with them. I try. Luckily, they're very patient with me learning as well. Each Tuesday and Thursday, my current CT, Brett Larson, and I help groups with the math and reading, etc. You always seem to get math, and I always seem to get reading. And that's fortunate for the students, I think. In a third grade classroom during Power Hour, I've been lucky to work with some really hard-working students as they read tiny stories on their iPads and then get assessed on their reading skills. There was a young boy who, I understand, has had some tough challenges in his life, was reading about the origin of potato chips through the reading assessment program on his iPad. A little aside, did you know that they were invented by a cranky cook who was trying to get back at a picky potato eater? I think his last name was Crumb. Anyway, this young man practiced reading the story 7 times before he decided he was ready to test on it. And each time, he was getting closer and closer to finishing the story in the time allowed. When he decided he was ready, he completed the whole reading in the time allotted, and he only missed the pronunciation of 2 words. And he saw his bar graph reading assessment skyrocket far beyond his reading goal. His whole face lit up. I told him that he needed to go and share that with his teacher, and her reaction was priceless. They shared a relatively quiet but very enthusiastic celebratory moment. With student teaching, finding new resources and getting creative with those resources is a challenge for me, but an exciting one. Utilizing those resources in class gives me a level of engagement with the students that I enjoy and feel very proud of. Watching how my CTs keep things current to build relationships with their students is inspirational. Through selected repertoire, the way they select different online exercises, the way they communicate with families, or even in conversation about the latest trends. I'm so very grateful to have been a student teacher under their wings. I thank you, Karen Dutton, Brett Larson, and Eleni Pantages, so very much. As we all work with students in the student teaching program, we all have to put our teacher hats and brave faces on. We have had experiences that have been really challenging for us, and we pat ourselves on the backs for just getting through the day sometimes. I'd like to share a story about a 7th grader who has been dealt a pretty rough hand in his young life. His father is in prison. His mother has been deemed unfit to be a guardian, and so he's currently being raised by his kind grandmother. Most times I see him, he bemoans about being up so early, but he's mostly very pleasant to me. I see him walking to school sometimes as I'm driving in. Each time I've seen him, he's had his head down and he's slowly shuffling his feet as he walks. The other day he was crossing the street in the crosswalk in front of my car. He looked up and saw me, smiled a huge open-mouthed smile, and literally skipped across the street as he waved so very enthusiastically at me. I think that even though these students keep in step with this ever-changing world, we should try to keep in mind that we're not the only ones trying to keep up and keep soldiering on, all with a brave face.
This credential program has been a wonderful experience because of the mentorship and support I've received from my cooperating teachers, family, and professors. When I started this program, I was a violinist, excited for music education, but just a little bit afraid of working with brass instruments and wind instruments and percussion. But now I look forward to every morning when I get to hear every sound from a trumpet to a viola, except maybe the days when the saxophones decide to play a game of who can play the loudest and highest note on the saxophone. I could, be okay with a little bit less of that. This season in my life has been full of dynamic learning opportunities. The word dynamic means continuous or productive activity or change, but in music, it refers to the volume or intensity of the phrase or the moment. Dynamics make the music really special. When thinking about my time as a student teacher in music, I can tie different dynamics with special moments. For instance, there have been forte moments while teaching band. Forte, of course, refers to a strong or loud sound. I remember when I was working with the band on a piece called Ancient Airs of Ireland, which features a 6/8 time signature, a fermata, and a ritardando all in the same couple of measures. It was challenging, and we had been working diligently on constructing the layers of the piece, learning the rhythm, then the pitches, then pairing the brass together, and finally adding the woodwinds. When we played a full run-through of this part of the piece, it sounded so strong and confident. What made that time even better was the excitement and the joy that the students expressed when they saw their own improvement. It was an amazing forte moment. There are also these beautiful quiet or piano moments in my student teaching experience. A few days ago, I led the concert band through a sight reading exercise in which they read a chorale featuring a well-known lullaby by Brahms. I was focused on the fact that this piece would allow them to sight read in 3/4 and use a different key signature than a few minutes ago. But after the ensemble played through it, a clarinet student came over to me and quietly told me that he was so grateful to have sight read this Brahms excerpt because his grandmother used to sing this tune to him when he was little. Playing this chorale brought those happy memories back to him. This conversation reminded me of the big picture of being a music teacher. It demonstrated the fact that music offers students an opportunity to create and recall beautiful memories and beautiful moments. This student teaching experience has been challenging. I've had to work really hard to adapt to the unique dynamics that come with teaching and assisting classes at multiple school sites, mainly La Colina Junior High and San Marcos High School. Yet, I will continue to learn and grow in my knowledge of classroom management, lesson planning, and overall music instruction. I'm so grateful for both of my cooperating teachers, Stephen Hughes, Michael Kioy, and for the guidance of Brett Larson and Karen Dutton as well. They have inspired me and guided me through this journey. I would also like to thank Dr. Mitten, Dr. Mullen, Heather, and all of the professors in the education and the music department for their mentorship. Finally, I'd like to, of course, thank my family and friends for their loving support as I learn how to embrace the wondrous and amazing dynamics of teaching. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Denny. I've had the incredible, you guys moved me to tears. I was like, I'm not going to be able to get through this. I've had the incredible opportunity to be a college supervisor and observe the elementary cohort in action in their classrooms this year. And I want you to know I've truly learned so much from all of you this semester. So thank you for what you've taught me. I'd like to draw your attention to the insert in your program. Our student teachers have identified people, educators in their life who have influenced them greatly. And some are here today and many are not here, but we'd like to honor these educators and all of the educators that have been influential in our lives with a round of applause. You can do, let's do Around the World. Here we go. Thank you.
And for all of the wonderful music cooperating teachers, if you wouldn't mind coming up and giving a quick hug to your wonderful student teachers. Come on up. And it's not quite fair because the single subject actually are still going. They still student teach until June, so I'm extra proud of them for coming up and making it feel like it's graduation time, but it's not quite graduation time, so you guys are amazing. So a couple of quick thanks as we close out tonight. First of all, Dr. Mullen for putting all of this together, all the pictures, thank you. And Mary, who had no idea what she was getting into when she signed on to come supervise with us, we're so thankful for you. And I think I've lost track of where Karen Sloan is, but she did all the food tonight, and she did a fabulous job, so she's in the room. And my last big thanks to the students, of course, who have all been helping out around the room tonight, but especially to Heather, who just makes our lives better. She puts so many details into all these events, and so we're just so grateful for you. All right, we are going to close out in prayer, and then please feel free to stick around, eat a little bit more. I know we went a little over, so you may have other places to go, but we'd love to get to talk to especially all the families that are here tonight. All right. Dear Lord, thank you for these incredible students, for the time, the love, the energy that they have given into their classrooms and into their students. Thank you for their gifts and the ways that they have loved on kids and touched their lives. And thank you for the incredible cooperating teachers who really don't have to take this on, and they choose to take this on because they believe in teaching and they love their kids too, and they want a better future for our classrooms. So we just praise you for the many hours and the time and the energy and the love that really has gone into this semester. And we pray safe travels for everybody who's traveling home tonight, and pray over the rest of this semester that it closes out beautifully and we get to celebrate with graduation. In your name we pray. Amen. Thank you for coming.